So about now would be a good time to set up a camera so we know sort of roughly where we're going to be viewing this from. So let's go ahead and just find a good sort of vantage spot for us to render this scene. So I think, you know, it's going to be quite a nice aerial shot. So let's go for something like this. We have a nice, the mountain is kind of on a third. So let's line something up and see what we get. Something like this, and then we can just create a camera from view. So if we go to view, create camera from view, we'll go to panels, and you can see it's perspective 1. And if you click this button here, select that, just rename that to render camera, RNDR cam. So that could be our render camera. And for the time being, let's just do a test render from there and just see how it looks from that angle actually before we go ahead and commit to that. Let's just see what it looks like. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, we'll roll with that. So let's go with this camera angle. So now we've got the camera in place. Let's have a go at just putting some nice camera shake on the camera, a little bit of animation, just so we've got something to render our sequence with. So the best way to do this is if we open up the camera's attributes, once we have it selected, if we go down to camera shake enabled, and in shake, if we right click on that, we can create a new expression. So I'll bring that into view. So we've got horizontal shake and vertical shake. So it's quite easy here. What we do is just copy this line, horizontal shake, paste it in here, space equals, and then noise, and then brackets, frame, times, go for something like, I mean, if we want it to be every frame, it would be frame times 1, but we'll just do frame by something like 0.8, 0.08, sort of very soft, and then times, say, 0.04. Let's go with that. Let's create that expression. And then we want to do the same thing with the vertical shake. So let's create an expression. Control C, V equals noise, frame, times, let's say frame times 1, times 0.05. Yeah, let's go with that. Create that. And let's just see what that does. It might be a bit too much or it might be a bit too little. So let's just see. This is definitely too much. So let's just have a quick edit of that. Let's make that 0.4 like that, and then frame times, I don't know, 0.04. Edit. See if that works any better. Almost there. So let's just do one more little edit. So we've gone the opposite direction with the vertical there. We've gone a little bit too light-handed. So 0.6. 0.6 is going to be where it's at. Okay. Yeah, so that'll be a fairly good starting point. And then what we want to do is just create a couple of keys. So shortcut for that is for Maya, for the translate key would be Shift W. So we're going to do 1 at the beginning, Shift W, 1 at the end. And what I might do is just come out of the perspective view, and I'll just move this camera a little bit. So move it this way a little bit. Key that again, Shift W, just so we get a bit of movement. And maybe some rotation as well would be quite good. So let's create another one, another key, Shift E, and then at the end, Shift E, and again, press E and let's change the transformations. Actually, double click on the tool for the settings, and we want to just change that to, I think, to component. Yep. And we just rotate this a little bit. Yeah. Key that. Just create a bit of visual interest. It might be too much, and we can see some of that sort of horizon line there. It might be too much. Yeah. So it'd be easier to edit these keys in the animation editor. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's go Window, Animation Editors, Graph Editor, and let's have a look at the rotate keys we've got here. And actually, what might be good to start off with before we do anything else is just select them all, and up here, let's change them to linear tangents. And then rotation wise, let's just reduce these a little bit. So on the y-axis, that's and the z as well. What might be cool is to just, because we don't want to sort of go too far out so that we end up seeing the edges, let's bring the camera, let's change that to local transforms as well, so component, and zoom the camera in a little bit, W, and then on the way out a little bit. Yeah. So we've just animated it sort of coming out away, it's all like a helicopter flying up away or whatever. So yep. Okay, that's all right. So let's not select that. So we just want to now play around with that rotation. It's pretty bad actually. So let's just dial that right down. So get that animation editor back up, graph editor. It's just not really helping to have these really big rotations. But also it'd be good to have it rotate down a little bit. I'm holding shift for to keep these on their axis so that they don't, because you know, if you don't hold shift you can just move it wherever. So okay, let's see. Okay, that's something. And then finally, go back to rotation just on this view. I want to tear off a copy and just bring this to the corner. Go to the render cam. Right, so I want to just give it that rotation, but only on a certain axis. So I want it to be really soft rotation. So let's dial in a little bit of rotation here, key it at frame 1, and then let's go to frame 120 and dial in some more rotation there as well, and just see if that gives a good result. Yep, that's much nicer. So we've got a little bit of camera shake and a bit of a movement, just some visual interest now. So this is the reason we're setting up this now, is so that we can then sort of decide where we're going to put elements such as the clouds. You know, it just helps us with speeding things up later on, and you know, composing the image. So that's good that that's all set. And the final thing we want to do really is try to avoid, see here in the corner, we want to try and avoid that. So because when we come to doing any compositing, we want to either crop that out or whatever. So probably the best way to just cheat this, select the camera again, and let's just change the focal length to like 40. Yeah, that should do it. So all that's left for us to do before we move on is just, let's see if this looks any good. We've tested it before and it looked okay. Let's just increase the resolution let's delete the perspective camera from the renders, the renderable cameras. So turn to 1080 and let's just take a peek and save it first. Yep, that's looking pretty interesting. That's given us something. We might want to tweak the lighting or whatever, but for the time being, I think that's going to give us something. And as the camera comes out a little bit, it's going to reveal more of our height field. So yeah, let's stick with that and proceed with that and see where we end up.